Thank you, Christy. Thank you. I consider her my sister in crime now. Um, Let me say a little bit about outreach because it appeared that many of you aren't aware of all of what they do. But they also do some absolutely phenomenal community events that I think most people think it's for the college. Just last week, I attended the free screening of Black Klansman. And I was saddened because it was very few people in the room. And not only did they do the screening, but they had the screenwriter there, and he did like a 45-minute Q&A. I was telling Christy and her staff, I would have stood in line for 3 hours in Los Angeles, hoping to get a seat for the exact same thing. And so please pay attention to what this outreach department sends out. They just had Michael Dice, last night. I always want to call him Michael Baisden. But he's an absolutely phenomenal author that is very sought after. You know, everybody watches Los Angeles across the world. And yes, it is a great, great city. I've been there over 30 years. It made me really what I am today, going there as a single mom with 2 kids. And I'm telling that story because it is because of me going there as a single mom with 2 kids that I do what I do today. I want to pause for a moment because so often we are going through things, and we're going through a lot of toils and jumping hurdles, trying to get over, and we don't realize that every step of what we're taking on the path we're on is going to benefit you later. There's a reason why you're going through what you're going through. I don't care what the pains are. Lisa Nichols, who we go way back, and she has this saying, I actually named Motivating the Masses. I was Lisa's first business coach. But she has a saying that says, gifts are sometimes handed to you wrapped in sandpaper. You get scratched, and you get, and you know what that can feel like. A paper cut can feel like you've been stabbed. The Bible, and see, I can't help but talk about the Bible also because I'm a PK kid, and my dad taught me that the original GPS, which is God, praise, and staying in service, that's who we are. That's who I am, at least. So I'm not trying to step on anyone's toes. So when we're in valleys, you know how we talk about, and you hear in the Bible where it talks about in the valley, though I was in the valley. Well, a lot of times people think of that as a negative, but sometimes you just need to rest. Sometimes you need to be at a down point so that you can get the momentum for that hill that you're getting ready to go up that's going to bring so much greatness. And this is why I love this arena, because even working with the men in the prisons, now when you can get out and get a grant and start a business straight out of prison when you can't even get a job, this arena has shown me something. And I was working within the prison system at Chino, and we helped reduce, during that time when I was there, I think it was almost 2 years, we helped reduce that recidivism rate by 75%. Because when you can connect to something that is truly your passion, is in here, it's in your soul, because who wants to live in a cave? So today, first of all, I want to thank the individuals that are on that are streaming live. I want to welcome you for being here. And I'm going to do like a crash course with you since we're only for an hour. And then all of you will benefit from working through the crash course and leaving here with a full-blown written proposal. So again, welcome out there in cyberspace and wherever you are. Now, for all of you, my goal is to open your eyes today to opportunities. I want you to leave here. Matter of fact, in the morning, I want you to wake up not with bags under your eyes, but luggage. Because I don't know about you. I don't know about you, but at night is when my mind gets busy. And I wake up, and so I keep notepads everywhere. And I wake up and I have to write it down and get it, because, you write it down so that you can relax instead of saying, okay, in the morning I need to do this. Okay, it was 4 things. I need to do this. No, write it down. Because once you do that, you guys, in my office even, when I'm planning something, like I love to skate, okay? So I've got a sheet of paper, like an 8.5 by 11 sheet that says skate. I talk about grants. Maybe I'll write this in black so that the individuals on the screen can see. I'm a speaker. And so all the different things that you are, and you guys, this doesn't have spell check, and it also, I write horribly. So, if I write it up there and it ain't right, it's almost like my talking. I'll say something, but you'll get it. I didn't realize that squaz wasn't a word until I moved to Los Angeles. I grew up in Kansas City, Missouri, and we always said, I squaz in there. I know a lot of y'all say squaz because my dad was born in Damascus. So, and he'd also say, if had known. Well, see, that's a lot of hads, but he meant that, right? So I said, I'm in Los Angeles, and I'm a director at the YMCA, and I got some kids in the car and with my son and one of the older boys, and I'm trying to hurry up and back in because we're going to go and see Spider-Man. It's just coming out, and I'm excited. My son went on in to get the tickets, and I parked in there, and I got in this spot, and I turned around, and the older kid is sitting there, and I said, "Ooh, I squaz in there." He said, "Oh, Miss Heron, no, you didn't." I said, "Yes, I did." I didn't even know he was talking about, no, you didn't say squaz. And I'm saying that to say that for a long time, because I know I use Ebonics, my father was very young when he moved from Damascus into Kansas City. He married my mom at 19. She was 15. Neither one of them finished school. And so a lot of the way we speak is the way that they spoke. And I used to let that hinder me. And what I'm saying to you is I don't care if you're speaking, if you think your speaking is bad. I used to get teased about how big my mouth was, used to cover up my mouth. Now I smile so big, I'm like, God don't make mistakes. So as I'm doing all these planning and stop letting all these blocks and all this stuff that people put on you stop you, all I'm saying is he don't make mistakes. He doesn't play. So there's one tree that might be blooming and beautiful, and then when its leaves are falling off, then another one is blooming in, and one is just as good as the other. Embrace who you are and step into what's in your gut, because I'm going to show you all day today how there's a grant for that. So what I do is I write my stuff up on the board, and so at night when I'm thinking, and I got all these sticky notes in the morning, I get up and I stick a sticky note here, and I was like, oh, okay. And then I stick a sticky note here, because that was like, oh, and that sticky note goes here. And as you're doing this, and these sticky notes are here, and you know how you have all these ideas, and you say, well, I don't know which one to start on first, it will show you. Because when you get busy, instead of just creating a vision board that sits still, when you have something that is constantly in motion, I guarantee you, I always say give it a 2-week test. I guarantee you that it's going to show you where you should start next. Now, I usually talk about God a lot more when I'm just in a room just with my folks, and now I know I'm live. But I can't help but talk about what guides me. And I always look at it that God or the Holy Spirit, or some people might say the Great Spirit or whatever it is, but there is something bigger than us. And when we get busy in what is for us, things that you've been trying to finagle will now start to happen. Because how many of you have kids, and when you bought them something for Christmas, they were real excited about it at that time, and then by the end of the day, you go in the room and they're walking on it. We do the same thing with our ideals and our skills. We'll get excited about something for a moment and work on it for a moment, but then if he gave it to us all at that time, we're going to walk on it. And so I look at it kind of like God is saying, he's watching me, and I keep bumping my head, and Jesus is saying, God, you going to let her do that again? Oh, it ain't going to kill her. She's going to bump her head again. I need to see that she's serious. But once I start doing this and I see where to start operating and I'm starting to move in it, you guys will be amazed at how things now start happening because you are seriously going on that path. It is the law. It is the universe. It's the energy that you draw to you. Okay? So in doing that, in opening your eyes today, and even in this hour, I'm putting you on a different frequency. See, we hear about grants in the nonprofit arena all the time, and most of you think that the only grants are government grants. That is so not true. It is a $1 trillion industry. I'm going to show you where there's some billionaires, and they alone are giving over $900 billion annually to the pot. That is non-government. I keep trying not to talk about this in the beginning, but I keep my tool of the trade with me. I was trying to wear stuff cool, and I don't want to get out of this sweater because I'm trying to hide that I'm a little bit heavier. Y'all, I got a husband that cooks so good. Lord Jesus. Woo! Ray Oglesby. Man, you done put on about 30 more pounds on a sister. And there's a grant for that too. Woo! Okay, but I'm having hot flashes, and for the longest I would not talk about that, but I started putting that into what I do, because when they first started, you guys, that big fan that you put on the wall that's huge? I got one of those, and when I spoke, I had to do this. But I did it because we need to talk about things. And so when I was speaking at a conference and was even talking to men about that and hot flashes, and they said, well, Sharita, how's there a grant for that? Well, hot flashes and what's going on with a women's body is about what? Health and wellness. Everybody got their phone? And even out there, take out your phone and go to Google. And in Google, I want you to just type in grant, comma, health and wellness. And look at all the grant funders that come up. Grants, comma, health and wellness. And I always do it in the Google search. I just get a better, return on what I'm looking for. Google, you hear that? Do I need some stock? Do you need to pay a sister? So that's health and wellness. Now, what tends to happen when there's hot flashes and she wants the air conditioner on and the ceiling fan and he's over there under an electric blanket? Next thing you know, they're not communicating well, right? So there's grants, comma, anger management. Then, after they can't get past the arguing and he's freezing to death while she's sweating to death, next thing you know, he's in a separate bedroom. Uh-oh. Grants, comma, divorce prevention. Along with that other bedroom, he might now also have a Harley Davidson out in the garage or a red Corvette. And then when you start seeing that Harley Davidson going down the road, she might not be the one on the back. What I'm saying to you is you've got to take off your blinders. It's not just hot flashes that you're looking at. You know how horses, when they got these blinders on and they're in a parade, no matter which way they turn, they can only see what's ahead. That's the way most of you have been when you're thinking about grants in the nonprofit arena. I want to blow these off and put you on a different frequency so that instead of you listening to a bad station, you can hear the music, but you hear all the crackling. I want to put you on Bose. Bose is that system that makes it feel like you got the people right there, and that's what you're going to have after today. Okay? I want you to think about all of the in-kind that you receive in whether it's your churches, your businesses, or whatever. Like when Christy thanked the organization for the food. I'm getting in your business right now, but did they donate it? Do you ever get donations? And many of you get food donations, and you don't count it as in-kind. Anytime someone gives you something, anything other than money, it is in-kind. And the perfect example, most of us go to church, and if you have a church and it has 3 large choirs, let's say that it ends up being 300 people, and they're singing for free. But if you had to pay them a minimum of $10 an hour, then in one Sunday, if you say 300 times 10, that's $3,000 in in-kind. You do that if it's every Sunday, now you're getting $12,000 a month in in-kind just with the choirs, not to mention the people the ushers, the people that's cleaning the outside, the people that's mowing the lawns, those that are working in the kitchen. All of that is in-kind. That's what it takes to run that business of a church, correct? Well, when you are receiving in-kind that is not a church, you're still receiving in-kind, that still should show up in your operating budget, but showing as in-kind because that's still what it takes to run your business. So speaking of like that, when you are doing a budget, I hope on the cameras I'm not moving around too much. I'm good? So like when you have, let's say this is an Excel spreadsheet. When I start working with my clients on their budget, it looks like this. And you have your actual, A-C-T-U-L-C, and then you have your in-kind. Okay? So if you've got your staff, and you've got equipment or whatever, then let's say that someone gave you equipment, but it was over here in March, and they gave you 10 computers. And those 10 computers are worth $20,000. Then they've given you $20,000 in in-kind. When you're talking about your staff, maybe it's you, and you should be getting paid $5,000 a month, but you're only getting paid $1,000. Your $1,000 goes here, and you're giving $4,000 in in-kind. Are you with me? So you should be tracking your in-kind because as the grant funders are asking you, about your operating budget, your in-kind should be showing up, because most people say, Sharita, we haven't brought in any money. We haven't done anything yet. Yes, you have. Even if you've been working totally for free, then this would be 0, and this would be 5,000. Make it show up so that you can show what you've been doing, because you want to talk about all the things you've been doing, but if your budget looks like with nothing, then what documents that you've been doing what you say you do? Okay? So, in addition to learning how you can link to this trillion-dollar industry, whether you are a for-profit or a nonprofit, really, I'm talking about today you're creating opportunities for access. Access, because that's all grants are for. Whether you are a lawyer, a gardener, photographer, health and wellness professional, or whatever, there are individuals that are here that can pay you. And then there are individuals here that want your service, no matter what it is, and they can't afford you. What do the grants do? The grants pay you to work with these individuals, and it evens the playing field. So we've got it confused when we talk about being a charity. We think that being a charity, that we actually have to do everything for free. No, you may be offering it for free, but you're being paid. Everybody with me? Have you heard of legal aid? How many people have always thought that those lawyers are working for free? But actually they're paid by grants through the government, and they're able to offer the service to individuals that need a lawyer. And that's why I work with law firms. They help them create their own legal aid, helping them to establish their own nonprofit or foundation, so that now they don't have to turn away clients. Okay? So it's about access. That's really all the grants and nonprofit arena is about, is giving access. So how can you make a difference while creating opportunity for others to have access? And that's what we're going to be doing today on your document. But so often, so many that have access don't even realize they have access, because they live in their own bubble or community or whatever that keeps them blocked. A perfect example, if you have 3 men and they all 3 have cars, and you have a high-income individual, you have a middle-income individual, and you have a low-income individual, and all 3 of their cars at some point are going to break down. Whose car probably breaks down the most? Who's that? The rich man's car probably breaks down the most. The low income, without a doubt, breaks down the most. Who ends up pushing their car the most when it breaks down? Who's going to push their car? The low income. Why is he pushing his car? Dun, 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 dun. Raise your hand, raise a hand. Who's that? Who said that? I wish I had my $1 million bar. Did that one not reach? Or 100 grand bar? You just got paid. Because he doesn't have AAA. And you know what? We laugh. But the last time I taught this, there were 3 people that said, Miss Herring, I didn't even know. Because look at how much AAA costs. $66 on the average, $110 for the year, and if you get the plus or the premium, $126. Most people that push their car have no idea that they have access to something this cheap. But look at what they got on their feet. Because, I mean, you know, when you don't know, and then where your priorities are, because that's what gives them clout where they are. Now, I want to straighten out something, because I'm not trying to talk about people. I'm from the hood. When you live where you live, even in Los Angeles, there are people that never go within a 5 to 10 mile radius of where they live. For whatever the reasons. It could be financial, it could be because of gangs, it could be because of crime or whatever. So when I hear people say, well, why aren't they doing better? There's where more. When you've lived a certain way, and even your mom and dad are telling you what you can't do, or to be safe, they're telling you not to go there, or whatever. Many of them may not even have cars, but still a couple of their parents get up 3 hours early to get on the bus and transfer. Well, the kids aren't doing that. So when you've got individuals that live in almost like the bubble they live in, until I can help you give what? Access. That's when we will start reaching people, because had I not been in the prison system showing them and giving them access, they would have followed the same statistics of what happens with the recidivism rate. They're out for a few months and then they have to go back. Do you know that across the country, I don't know if it's still that way because I haven't been in the prison system for a while, but when a prisoner is released, they have to be released right back into the same area where they were arrested. That's like putting them in the lion's den. And if you're being released into an area where there has not been change, what will you end up doing? The same thing that got you where you were. And so this is why the more I can talk to you about access, whether you're a musician, a poet, love to cut grass, love working on swimming pools, love to skate. Did you know you can have a nonprofit skating rink? You guys, I'm gonna move on. I get excited, I'll get sidetracked. But anyway, he doesn't know, and he's got a pair of these on probably. So what I do is I love watching the news. Now you might think that's really depressing, but it's not what you do, it's how you see what you do. When I watch the news, it's like I sit down with buckets of lemons and I see something, I'm like, ooh, oh man, I can tell so-and-so about that. Oh wow, there's a grant for that. You know, you can do this, because all grants are available to address a need. All grant money is there to address a need. If you can't see how there's needs happening on the news, then hopefully today I'm giving you a whole new set of eyes and ears so you will see the news even differently. Even back when there was a down economy, I kept seeing all these murder-suicides. Did you know there's a grant for that? Not for murdering, but to address it. When you're seeing problems, what your mind should start going to is, what's the underlying issue of why is this happening? And every underlying issue that you identify, there's a grant for that. Every outcome that you're going to produce and why you're doing what you're doing, there's a grant for that. Okay? So I watch the news with a different set of eyes and ears. Even with what's going on right now, we're approaching the 20-year anniversary of Columbine. Sadly, someone is already getting on the bandwagon and saying that because she has some kind of infatuation of the murderers. You guys, we are living at a time where the people are hurting. The young lady where this is happening, if someone had reached her earlier in her life and reached her passion, she wouldn't have made that trip to come to where she went and be involved in the aftermath, and glorify in the 20-year anniversary of Columbine. That's why there are grants for whatever your passions are to reach toddlers in preschool to help them grow up to be more well-rounded adults. There's something that's underlying that led to this. This is on our watch. We can't keep blaming everyone else. What are you doing about what's happening on your watch? So the school shootings, look at this. This is ridiculous. 288 school shootings in the United States since 2009. That is 7 times more than the G7 other countries. Why are our statistics like this, but we're supposed to be the great country? Canada, 2. France, 2. Germany, 1. Japan, Italy, and the UK, 0. We should be ashamed. I want you to think about all of this so that you can start strategizing on what it is that you truly love and how can you touch who is around you. Look how many people we have in this room, and if you just touch 3, just in our area, okay? So what strategies can be implemented to change what's happening with school shootings? To create what? Access. So what are the underlying problems or issues that's going on with the individuals that do school shooting? Because recent studies show that adolescents and young adults, this is one of the main issues, are 5 to 8 times more likely to report symptoms of anxiety, depression, than the kids who lived at the height of the Great Depression. And we think that we are so great now. It's like you being in your best dress. You got on your minks or whatever, it's cold outside. You got on your Jimmy Choo shoes, you know, the red bottoms. And before you even walked in the door with your smile on your face, you were crying. You're depressed about wherever you are, so you just have on stuff. And what I'm saying, you guys, is we're dealing with people every day that just have on stuff. How can I help you reach others at a deeper core so that we all can live happier? Because I guarantee you, When you are doing what you love every day, your life, I mean, I've worked with celebrities and athletes that are at the height of their career, that until they started seeing that what they do make a difference in someone's life, now they say, Sharita, this is why I'm here. Okay? So who in this room can address some of the following? Lack of coping skills, which is what's happening with people that shoot. Increased anger, depression, bullying, low self-esteem, and more. Is there anybody in this room that could create something that could help individuals in those arenas? If so, let me see your hand. Okay? So get busy. Even laughter. From Anthony Anderson to Michael Collier, Kim Coles, even Eddie Griffin, I have coached some of the greatest comedians across the country. And many of them were not aware that they could be taking comedy into school. Did you know there's a grant for making people laugh? And at the same time, when they leave schools, they could even be going to seniors' facilities, because seniors are living 25% longer, but they're one of the fastest growing suicide rates and depression. Even going into, they could be taking their laughter even into fire departments. Why? Anyone know why I say fire department? Raise your hand if you know. Stress? Oh, yeah. Yes. I'm going to stop for one moment, yield the floor for the Vice President, for Vice President of Institutional Diversity and Student Services. I would have got that right. Come on up. Let's yield the floor for a moment. Do you want the camera to continue to roll? Is that okay? Good morning. Please come up. Say hello. Sharp jacket.
That's what I feel right now, but I want to say good morning to the graduate. First, I want to say is that a person, what we believe are serious.
Thank you, and thank you. The reason why I say that about the firemen, a lot of people think of PTSD when they think of the Army, but we don't even think of PTSD with what our young people go through in their communities. Many are suffering from PTSD and it's just now being recognized. But also firemen, the PTSD that is throughout our fire department is unbelievable. One fireman said, Rita, can you imagine? And he had a 2-year-old, and it stuck with him still. Can you imagine a baby falling out of a 4-story building, and you almost have to scoop them up like it's a dust? That's what's left. Can you imagine dealing with that kind of daily routine? And so we don't think about it enough, that there's opportunities. Is there anyone in here that does counseling? You ever thought about going into fire department? Okay. A lot of our schools no longer have counselors to help with our mental wellness. So I want to broaden your thinking, because there's opportunities to collaborate from Boys and Girl Scouts to cleaners, from gas stations to grocery stores. So we're going to bring some clarity today, but I want to show you something, because since I'm talking about comedy, a lot of people aren't aware that there are nonprofit comedy clubs. This is one that exists. Curious Comedy Theater. We're curious people. The mission of Curious Comedy Theater is to improve the lives of kids, adults, and seniors through the art of comedy. Later today, I'm going to show you where there are nonprofit bars, B-A-R-S, that serve liquor. So you have in your mind what a nonprofit should look like, but a nonprofit can do whatever the law will allow it to do that it takes to actually run the facility. They can even host events, and you have to pay to rent their space. I want to get it out of your head that nonprofits have to do everything for free. You should have opportunities for fee for service. Okay? So, are you a nonprofit? Anyone in this room already a nonprofit? Okay, very few. And I'm glad, not that I didn't want nonprofits to come, but I really want to start showing for-profits how you're missing out on this arena. How many of you are in the for-profit arena? Well, now, that's not enough, folks, with what I saw a moment ago. That's okay. That's okay. I was telling Christy, she was afraid. She said, Sharita, if we get that many people in the room and there's that many questions, I said, I've been in a room where there's over 500 people and still only 10 are the ones that ask the question. So I get it. Okay. But I hope to get you excited later and you're asking me some questions. If you're not a nonprofit, then I want to show you there's no worry, because you can, if a grant funder is wanting you to, if they're wanting to fund to a 501c3 organization, which is a tax-exempt organization, you can go up under what's called a fiscal agent. The dollars funnel through them to you to do what it takes to run your programs and services. So you might ask, well, do they get half? It's not a divorce. You know, people always say, well, I'm going to get half. The thing is that when a fiscal sponsor, an organization serves as your fiscal sponsor and the dollars funnel through, the average amount that they may get of your grant may be 5 to 10%, and that's because they're doing the admin stuff. The rest of the dollars would funnel to you. So many funders allow that, and they call it having a pass-through. Okay? What is a fiscal agent or a fiscal sponsor? It's an organization that agrees to serve as the pass-through to receive the grants on your behalf. Why use one? Well, maybe you're an entrepreneur or a for-profit business without a tax-exempt status. Or sometimes a nonprofit will have to use a fiscal sponsor because maybe the grant funder is asking for audited financial statements and you don't have them, or something else that they require that you don't have. But a fiscal sponsor serves the same purpose. Think of like a cosigner. When you are going for a car and it's your very first car, you're 19 and you're ready to buy a new used car, but you don't have credit. You ask your mom or dad or your grandparents or someone you know and trust, and they know and trust you to be the cosigner, right? You don't go ask a stranger. It's the same thing when you are looking for a fiscal sponsor. You're looking at whoever's someone that you like the way they've been operating, because really you're coming under them. And they're really going to be kind of like your boss, because they're making sure you do what you said you're going to do with the grant funding. So you want to identify someone that you know and trust and have a relationship with. I always recommend you don't stay up under a fiscal agent or fiscal sponsor long, because that's just like, now that you're, let's say I'm 60, I'll be 60 in November, and now I'm getting ready to go buy a Bentley. If I tell them I need a cosigner, they're going to look at me kind of lopsided, right? Because I should be able to do it on my own now. That's how grant funders look at it. If you've been in the arena operating a very long time and you still are under a fiscal sponsor, why haven't you stepped out on your own now? Okay? So I always recommend, when you're doing fiscal sponsorship, it's like an incubator. It's allowing you to dip your toe into this arena to see if you like it. But I guarantee you it is good. You're going to want to dive in. Okay? So, race for funding. The reason why I have the nonprofit dollar out in front is because the same way that I showed you how to do a search for grant funders, like type in grants, comma, and whatever you have an interest in. Grants, comma, whatever that might be. It could be women's empowerment. It could be youth leadership. It could be leadership development. It could be gang intervention. Whatever it might be, once you see some grant funders, raise your hand. Okay? Okay? Now, how often can you do that same kind of search and it brings up investors? So this is why I have the nonprofit company out in front, is because the investors are harder to find. When the money is harder to find, you probably won't get it as quickly for what you're doing. So that's why the nonprofit arena I have out in front. I'm not saying that we do not need for-profit companies. The United States has the health that it has because of the way that it is structured with for-profit companies and nonprofit companies. The nonprofit arena is the third largest business sector in the United States, but it couldn't be there if we also didn't have the for-profit arena. I'm just recommending that if you dip your toe in and you like it, you should have both. Okay? So people say, well, it's really hard to get funding in the nonprofit arena. Let me just kind of dispel that myth. If you start a for-profit, where can you get your money? Investor, bank, partner, vendors, your staff, personal money, credit card, business loan, friends and family, and venture capitalists. Now, people always tell me, well, Sharita, but the nonprofit arena, I hear it's a lot harder. Well, you can get your money from the same places. Investor, bank, partner, vendors, your staff, personal money, credit card, business loan, friends and family, and venture capital. But in the nonprofit arena, what do you mostly have access to that for-profits don't? Huh? Write-offs? What'd you say? Grants. Grants, grants, grants. Okay? Grants. If you have access, you want a payday? Let's get you paid. Let's get you paid. This is why I say if you have both, no doors are closed to you. See, a lot of times just because when we listen to someone without actually seeing what the facts are, we believe it. And I want to dispel a lot of the myths that you guys have been saying. Now, a lot of times people say, well, I hear it's a whole lot harder to write a grant proposal. Let's dispel that. When you're writing a business plan, you have an executive summary, a marketing plan, organizational plan, company description and management team, the financial document. When you're writing a grant proposal, you have the executive summary. Now, what is the purpose of the executive summary? It summarizes what they're going to see on the rest of the pages, just like if you have a resume and you have a cover letter that summarizes your resume, correct? It serves the same purpose as just like when you have not seen a movie. We all remember Blockbuster? If you went in Blockbuster and you had not seen the movie, what would you do when you picked up that box? Read the back. That's the executive summary of the movie. That paragraph or 2 paragraphs summarizes what you're going to see. Someone watched that movie and said, freeze that frame. They'll go before they see a good one, freeze that frame. It's just like making a commercial. And then when they get all those frames that they like, then they have to narrow it down a little more to either make it into a 30-second commercial or sizzle reel, or type it up and put it on the back. But it's the cliff note, right? That's the same thing. Whether it's a business plan or a grant proposal, you have the executive summary, which encompasses the same kind of information. The need statement on the grant proposal side represents what you would have in a marketing plan. This is where you're talking about, is this going to be a viable business? What's going to make it viable? What's the trends? And you're talking about all that in the marketing plan. It's called a need statement in the grant proposal, but you're talking about what's going to make this project a good project. Why is it needed? You're incorporating the statistics to show why you're doing what you're doing. Okay? The organizational plan on the business plan is called a project description. In the organizational plan of a business plan, you're talking about what is that business or organization going to do? What's going to be the process that's going to make that business work, right? It's the exact same thing, it's just titled differently. The company description and management team is the organization history and your collaborative partners. Does it seem difficult as I'm talking about it? Because then we talk about the budget, which is nothing but the financials. These are the main components that show up in a grant proposal. No matter how much money you're going after, no matter how thick it is, it's just they take it, let's say that right now you've got these 5 components, but depending on how they've written their grant guidelines, they've broken those 5 into 20 different kinds of questions. But once you are familiar with what goes in these sections, you would not be intimidated when you start looking at a proposal. You'll say, oh, they're asking me this? Okay, that's coming from the need statement. Oh, they're asking about my experience and who I've been working with. Oh, that's coming from the organization history. So you have your, what I call your master proposal or boilerplate that you keep as the main file. And then when you're getting ready to write, like for the Ford Foundation or whatever, you pull that out, make a copy of it, call it Ford Foundation, and now you can tear it up. The same way you do what? A resume. A grant proposal or a business plan is nothing but a big document talking about the business. Okay? Any questions, comments? Now, who should be involved? Now, I kind of want to keep time so that those that are on the call, how much time do I have before we're off live? Oh, good, 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 good. Because I wanted to show them this, because you guys are going to get a lot of it today. But who should be involved? And I say everyone. Now, again, I'm not saying that we shouldn't have the for-profit businesses. I'm just saying everyone can be making a difference on this side while they also make money on this side, which you do make money on the nonprofit side. Let me stop here for a moment and show you something. Let me show you something. Who used to say that? You guys know? Fire Marshal Bill. Who said that? You gotta get some candy for that. I'm so glad when folks get my little corny jokes and stuff. See, y'all better be listening if you want a payday. Okay. I like to show this because people think that you can't make money in the nonprofit arena. Let's do it like this. This is the for-profit side. I don't know if that's showing on this, not writing well. So this is your for-profit company. And this is 2019, 2020, 2021, and 2022. You're projecting that you're going to make money, hopefully. And it keeps going up, going up, going up. That's in the bank. Dollars can come back out. You can use it the way that you want in your for-profit arena, or if you have shareholders or whatever. But in the nonprofit arena, I think it looks better like this. I do it like it's an onion with layers. And you've got 2019, 2020, 21, and 22. You're steady making money, but as you're making the money, the dollars go back into the company. You're growing, you're growing, you're growing, the dollars go back into the company. You're growing, you're growing, you're growing, the dollars go back into the company. Which the same thing is happening here, or this company wouldn't be growing, right? If they were steady depleting from the company, their graph wouldn't be going up. So obviously it must be doing what? Going back into the company. But the way it's said in the nonprofit arena, when people say all your money must be used to go back into the company, we perceive it differently. Do you see that it's really the same thing? Because you can't grow. It's growing, coming back in, it's paying salaries. It's getting you a larger building. You're hiring more staff. You're getting more vehicles. You're fixing bridges. Whatever you're doing, it is the same thing. You guys, it is a corporation. It must be a corporation before you can file to get your tax exemption. So what I'm saying to you is these are investors also that are helping this to grow. We just call them grant funders or donors or sponsorship, but they're investors. It's just over here you've got the ROI, which is the return on investment. The ROI over here is return on impact. They're not worried about getting money back over here. They can't get money back, or they don't get the write-off. The moment they give you the dollars and the write-off, that's their return on investment, and that's why they're looking at your proposal to see what is going to be your outcomes so they can feel good about what their dollars are going to do. We clear? So that's why I say any and everybody can be in this arena. Authors, poets, writers, developers, health practitioners, gardening and horticulture, business consultants, film, television, radio. Speaking of film, like Bill Duke, the movie producer, Bill had been trying to get this funding. He wanted to work with young people in the inner city to help them go into the industry and learn about film and editing. We got Bill $100 grand just to work right with those students. There's so much money available, it's crazy. I tried to get a film producer to look at these dollars a few years ago. They were giving $2 million for any startup film producer. And with that, you can have a camera operating program called a production assistance program, and now it covers your cameras and your operators. And you're teaching editing. There's grants to even cover pre and post-production. If you type in grants, film, you'll be amazed at what you see if you're a film producer. There's dollars for television, radio, media. If you look now, I just saw an article, a lot of our regular stations are thinking of going nonprofit, like PBS. Because then they don't not only have to be looking for dollars for commercials, they can go after sponsorships, depending on what they are showing and the outcome of what it is that they are showing, there's funding. So even legal and law enforcement, alternative energy, and on and on and on, okay? Including, even if you're a dog walker. Now, I haven't seen very many dog walkers here in Conway and the surrounding area like I see in California. But why is that? Are there not any dog lovers? Anybody in here love dogs? Would you love to get paid just to walk dogs and be around dogs? This dog walker has no idea that she's walking past several homes that need her. Seniors, the disabled. Suppose I'm going to be down for the next 6 weeks because of a surgery. Now I can, because I know that she has the ability, get rid of this right now. Let me get some water. This one's mine, this one's mine. I won't drink from yours, I promise. My goodness. No, room temperature is good. They come and go. How many know what I'm talking about? Better get a grant for that. This dog walker has no idea that Penny, thank you so much, my dear. She has no idea that she could be getting grants and walking the dogs of individuals that can't afford her. Okay? If you have land, how many of you have land and love horses? And you know how much it is to feed those horses. But you could collaborate with a local after-school program or even seniors and start bringing young people to the land. It would cover your horses, the keeper, the food. We're missing the mark. Even if you're a masseuse, is there a masseuse in the room? Anyone a masseuse? That masseuse would be in the room if they knew what? There's a grant for that. Do you know this masseuse? How many of you have been in the hospital and they put those plastic things on your legs to keep you from getting blood clots? Do you know a masseuse could get grants to be massaging every individual that's in that hospital? Even those that are in comas. You guys ever seen that commercial where I think it's like a Pine Sol commercial and he's in there mopping and the person wakes up out of a coma, woo! Because they smell that Pine Sol. They could massage a person out of a coma just like that. They wake up, woo! Now, if they're a masseuse and they're getting grants for that, what other funding could they go after? Health and wellness? Where's it at? Who said health and wellness? Let's give her one of those. I'll pass them. You can catch, huh? Just hold them there for that side of the room for me, would you? I don't want to hit nobody in the head. Who can catch them over here, mid-room? Can you catch some? Am I throwing it good enough? You guys, I just like showing off. I used to be a shortstop. I thought I was something. I thought I was something. Okay, so the thing is, health and wellness. But what else? Do you know that statistics show that individuals that are in the hospital for 3 weeks or longer oftentimes leave depressed? But if that person is in there giving them a massage and also talking to them, then what other funding can they get? Mental health. Give her a candy bar. Mental health, combating depression, loneliness. Open your eyes, you guys, it's there. Okay? Even if you collect rocks. I love those kind of expressions. Do you know the moment you start talking to kids or seniors or anybody else that love rocks, it is now a program? Do you know that it could take you from Easter Island to the Grand Canyon? Do you know that Southwest Airlines gives in-kind tickets to nonprofits, so now you can be taking your group of kids to even the pyramid? Now, I got one even better than this. Even if you collect buttons. If you collect buttons, there are grants for you. When the Turks and the Mongols, when the Crusaders were doing what they do and they were crusading across the waters, they ran upon the Turks and the Mongols. Well, who's that? So the moment you start talking about the Crusaders and what they do and who they met, you're talking about history. You're talking about geography. You're talking about with them meeting individuals that they didn't know, couldn't speak to. You're talking about cultural awareness and race relations. So now the Crusaders takes that idea back to England, and England goes crazy with the buttons. Okay? Oh, what did I do? Okay. So history, geography, cultural awareness, race relations. When they take it back to England, only those with money could wear gold and bronze and silver and platinum buttons. So now it becomes a socioeconomic status. But then the kings and queens started wearing so many buttons that they had to require dressers to go with them and help them dress. So now it's getting into job creation. What? If you look at the history of buttons, the kings and queens were actually competing, and the more buttons they had on, it showed status. Sometimes they had on 1,200 and 1,500 buttons. Can you imagine how heavy that was? Still around the buttons, when women started wearing buttons down the front of their dresses instead of the back of their dresses, the religious leaders got into it and said it was the devil's snare. Now behind buttons, we're talking about religion and religious tolerance. It doesn't stop there. It just goes on and on and on. So what I want you to do is think about, who are you? What do you love? What have you been missing out on, not knowing that what? There's a grant for that, okay? So I ask you now, are you part of the 85% club? Do you know that statistics show that 85% of individuals go to jobs or have careers that they hate? And then we wonder why we have workplace shootings and depression and employees not getting along and, report. And it's not just the United States, but it's all over. But the U.S. is very high in that percentage. So how can I help you now? What is your inner GPS? What is it saying to you? How long have you been loving something and been putting it off because someone said you need to get a real job? Okay? Now, statistics also show that whatever you truly love, it was showing up in you by the time you were 5 years old. How often, if you look back at yourself, have you been loving something? Or do you look at a niece and nephew and he's a runner all the time, you know he's going to run? Or it's a niece and she's always wanting to comb your hair and everybody else's hair, and you know that she's going to be a stylist. We can see it early, but we do nothing about it. And you guys, there was a report about 15 years ago that stated that toddlers are entering kindergarten with the stress level of a ninth grader. And then we wonder why our kids are having the problems that they do. We have to do something. So look at our children. Look at who's around you. If you're a school teacher, look at the children and see what they gravitate to. If you're a church leader, watch the children in your church service and realize what kind of programs you can collaborate with to bring to your facility. If you're an employer and you're even having problems as far as communicating with your employees, find out what their inner passions are. It'll make a difference. So you can see the thinkers, you can see the tinkerers, you can see Miss Fashionista, you can see who loves cars, whether he's going to be racing or working on them. You can identify the one that it might be the techie person. If there's someone that loves to cook, it could be that all the kids are at their grandparents' house and they're at Big Mama's house, and all the other kids are playing, but Big Mama's ready to make biscuits, and that one kid is in that kitchen trying to find out how to make those biscuits. That's a chef. That's somebody that might grow up to be an entrepreneur as far as a restaurant owner, but we're not nurturing them. So understand your genius and follow it. Because the happier you are in what you do, you're going to be also, it's impossible that when you're helping somebody else, it's not helping you. It's impossible. There's a bus driver. If there's two bus drivers and one is hating his job and he doesn't speak to people, usually bus drivers have the same individuals that get on. But then you got another one. Every time somebody's like, hey, Miss Jones, Mr. So-and-so ain't with you this morning. Oh, he's sick. Oh, man, send him my prayers when you talk to him. Go on back. All right, I ain't going to pull off too fast. I know you're moving kind of slow this morning. Arthritis kicking in, huh? See, they know everything. And after work, he knows that Miss Jones going to probably be asleep back there, and so he won't pass her stop. He'll say, hey, John, can you kind of nudge Miss Jones? I'm coming up on the stop. It's going to take her a moment to get all them bags. When you love something, you look out for others. You can't help it. And what I'm saying to you, that bus driver, do you know there's a grant for that? Do you know he could be training other bus drivers about driver and effective communication, and the same way doctors that have great bedside manner should be training other doctors to have great bedside manner? Okay? So I saw this cartoon on Facebook, and I thought, wow, that says it all. Now it says, for a fair selection, everybody has to take this same exam. Please climb that tree. Now the way it's stated, it really seems like it's going to be fair. And that's the way life is. We will hear something stated, or we'll see rules or whatever, and the way it's stated, why can't I do it right? It says that this is fair. See, we keep trying to place ourselves to fit someone else's genius. The only one that can climb that tree and do it right is the monkey. Because even the bird is going to fly and get eliminated because it says climb. And the reason why I love to show this, how often are we trying to be in someone else's genius? Stop it. You are you. Les Brown said it better than anybody I know. Out of the millions of sperm cells, you made it. If that's not telling you that you're not special, we just got to stop and absorb that. We got to hold on to that. There's a reason you're here. Find out what your genius is and act in it. Okay? Now, this little booger here, I don't think I got the slide there. No, I don't. I was watching Reverend, I forget his name. Anyway, I'll think of it. But I was watching him one morning, Mike Murdoch. And he was talking about that he was getting a pond dug in his yard. And they were almost through filling it. Well, the guy brought the fish and put them on the ground and said, look, I got to leave them, Doc. He said, I got to go make another delivery. But if you just keep them wet with the water hose, then they'll be fine in time for you to put them in the water. And so he says, what? And so he's steady watering them. The guy's gone, and he's now 10 minutes have passed. He's waiting on the water to get right for the pond. He says, but as he was steady looking at this fish, he's like, dang, why am I even getting these fish? They just dumb. He just laying there. He don't even have eyelids. He can't blink. You know, what is fish for besides eating? And he talked about this fish so bad. But then when the water got ready and he put it in the water, the genius. And see, so often we're not looking at ourselves and our genius, that we are so down on ourselves that we miss really when we're operating in our greatness. He said he almost fell to his knees and apologized to God because he had talked about the fish so bad that it was one of his creatures and he saw it in its purpose. And what I want to do today is I want to help you to work more in your purpose. And I've been doing this since 1994. I have not once had anyone come to me that I couldn't show them there's a grant for what it is they do. Okay? So, from mechanic, even a mechanic, I showed him that he could even be teaching virtually the way I'm on now and teaching mechanics one-on-one to Joey that's in Tupelo, Mississippi, and he's in Los Angeles, California. How many men in this, or even women, have gone to YouTube to look at a video on how to fix something on a car? And that's a video. Wouldn't you have loved to be able to dial into somebody and it's live and you got now your webcam on there and you're saying, man, I don't see it. He said, okay, Bob, turn on your webcam. Okay, see your right hand, go back, right over to the red. You see that red cap? See, there is so much of what we're doing daily that we can be doing also virtually and working with individuals all over the world. My goal today is for you to work with some of the individuals that's on this camera. You do not have to remain local. That's why most of the nonprofits that we develop, I like to put international in the name. What's your name again, honey? Cassandra what? You got the McCune International Foundation that's going to help other organizations learn how to work in diversity or whatever. But I put international in the name. And a lot of people think, well, can I put foundation in the name? Because you're confused that foundation is a classification, and it is not. Foundation is just the word. You can have foundation in your name. It's the way that you fill out the form 1023 that allows you to be either a public foundation or a private foundation. And the private foundations are the ones that give the money. If you're offering programs and services, you are a public charitable foundation, okay? So the mechanic can get grants for that. If you are a carpenter or you do bookkeeping, one of the largest grants I helped secure in Los Angeles was $14 million. He was a developer that was already doing housing in LA, but he did not have a nonprofit. So he was getting ready to do some development in Watts, and that is the largest single grant that I helped to secure. There is no limit to the amount of funding you can receive. If you're a barber or beautician, there's a grant for that. Photography, sewing, biking, dance. I was even talking to, you guys, I was running for office in Kansas City. In Los Angeles. I was running for city council. And I think, were they called the six? I forget the group, probably because they just took my breath away. It was before I met my husband. Let me be clear. Thank you. And so I was running for office, and I'm a community organizer also. And so someone has told me to come over to the park that these group of bikers and they were former gang members, wanted to meet with me. And they said a few of them may be coming on their bike. So I go on over there and I'm with my campaign guy, and we're hearing there, and I start hearing this, boo, and it's getting closer and closer. And you guys, they came in like 40 or 50 deep on the most beautiful bikes, beautiful arms. I love it. But anyway, when they came in, I wasn't expecting it, because you know, when you're picturing your mind gang, the same way when I worked in the prison system, you're expecting one thing. You guys, and those prisoners, when we did their survey, out of the 43 to 48 guys, 70% of them had graduated high school. 50 or 60% of them came from two-parent households. I mean, the stats were so different than what you expect. These guys were so different than what I expected. They came in deep and they circled me, okay, and parked their bikes and had the bikes looking all pretty. Man, I wish I would have took a picture of that. And then they all get out. And so anyway, so they're wanting to talk to me to make sure that I'm not coming to talk to them just to get their vote and then I don't turn, you know. And so, but what I didn't realize, they had already Googled me. But the questions they were asking me was like they didn't know me. And then one of them, and after I just didn't, you know, did not waver, and some of the language, and he said, well, Ms. Herring, I just want to know, are you going to MF really do your job? And they were trying to come at me hard. And I said, look, you know, and I was explaining to them what I do. And then I said, just like all these bikes that just pulled in. I said, how many of you know someone that used to ride with you guys that he's too old now, or she? And almost half of them raised their hand. And I said, what are they doing now? Well, oh, Bill, you know, Pookie, he's overdoing so-and-so. Well, you know, Knife Snatcher, he's doing. They had all these names. And I said, do you know that grants will cover you putting one of those riding little things on the side of your bike? And now you could take them up to Monterey to the jazz festival or do such and such and such. And I literally had them pull out their phone and show them where there was grant funding to help deal with depression or you know, loneliness, and how there's dollars for them to get the equipment to put that on there. There's nothing that's not fundable. Anytime you've got individuals that are here and individuals that are here that would love to do it, there's a grant for that. And then what you do is you talk about who are they? What are the issues that they're experiencing? What are going to be the outcomes if we do take them on that ride? Okay? So there is nothing that's not fundable. Dance. My sister has taught praise dance for over 25 years. She had no idea that there was grant funding for that. Now, through our family foundation, we developed, they've even gotten a van for her to do the transportation. But get this, she has dancers from 5 years old to 90. She's bringing women that age out to dance, even if they're, oh, did anybody see Ricky Smiley when he's done his grandmother and she's in a wheelchair? He's doing that. They're like that. They're not in wheelchairs, but some of them, you know, this one arm can move, but they better not put the flag in this one, because if they like me, this arm ain't lifting that well. Thing is that if you're bringing senior dancers back out, what kind of funding can you go after? Health and wellness, what else? Senior care, what else? A lot of stuff, right? Just a lot of stuff. Skating and chess. There's a grant for that. I went to the guys outside of Starbucks there in LA. It used to be the Magic Johnson Starbucks. And they'd sit out there all day playing chess. You know, not one of those guys called me back when I would give them my car and said, look, there's dollars that will be paying you to play chess. Take it to a school, start a chess club. Take it to a senior facility, play chess with the seniors. Start talking to more young girls about playing chess, and there's a grant for that. Not one ever called. We don't believe it. And that's why I tell you, go to your phone and search it. I'm not creating those search commands. I'm not creating those websites that you're looking at. It is there. So who's in the game? How many of you eat Girl Scout cookies? And people say that there's no way that for-profits and nonprofits can collaborate. Believe me, all the moms are not in the kitchen cooking those cookies. It is Keebler's. Keebler's and their affiliates are cooking those cookies. It is the nonprofit money that's paying the for-profit. So even if you're an accountant, if you do websites or whatever, grants will pay you to do it for the organizations that need you. Mozilla, anybody use it? Firefox? Did you know it's a nonprofit? How many of you did not know that Mozilla is a nonprofit? And there's so many other well-operating businesses that you operate in or see every day. Now, the NFL, how many of you knew that the NFL had been a nonprofit since its inception? The National Football League. Now, they changed their status in 2015. And the reason being because people started getting upset that, well, how can a nonprofit and they make too much money? The league teams are not nonprofit, but the league is. Just like the PGA, the Professional Golf Association, the National Hockey League is a nonprofit. You guys see there's different kinds of nonprofits. Think about how many jobs one professional game creates. So by them having a nonprofit status, there's certain tax breaks they can get. Because when you think of a game, there's individuals, you think about maybe the ones that are just serving the food or working the concession stand or walking, giving you popcorn or all that. But who's making the bags for the popcorn? Who's creating the straws? Who's making the cups? Who's making the burgers that come to the facility? Look at all the jobs that are created. My theory is now that they changed their status, are the local cities going to hurt from what now the NFL is not going to do? See, we get mad and want something to change because we think we know that it shouldn't operate that way. And most of the time when you're thinking of this arena, you're wrong. There's a reason they were able to get that classification. There's a reason that some people got upset because it was the Red Cross or someone and the executive was making like $600,000 a year. What? That's a nonprofit. Well, if you have a multi-million-dollar organization, who would take that executive job making only $45,000 a year? Your salary can be, your salary is based on the size of your operating budget. Please know that, okay? So who else is in the game? Well, join the big boys. This is Bill Gates, Zuckerberg, and Warren Buffett was behind it, started what's called the Giving Pledge. And you can go to the site and see it. It's called thegivingpledge.org. These billionaires have pledged 50 to 90% of their wealth to the nonprofit arena from now on. It has added another $900 billion to the plate. Okay? Some of the individuals I've worked with, Vicente Fox at the very top, the former president of Mexico, I went in to train him and his staff because he wants to duplicate the nonprofit arena that's in the United States. He said, Sharita, we don't want our people coming to the U.S. no more than the U.S. wants them coming there. But there's such a high percentage of the poor that are here and would like to be here. If he could duplicate what the United States is doing, they wouldn't want to leave. Okay? Michael Collier, Les Brown, Lisa Nichols, Kim Coles, Anthony Anderson, Bill Duke. Now, Hilary Swank, before they put down a dog in LA, I don't know if she's still that involved. It's been a while since I worked with her. I was coaching her and I was her agent. She has saved so many dogs in the LA area because before they put them down, they would text Hillary. She is such an awesome person. And so, and just so, Tippi Hedren, many of you, anyone know who that is, where she's from? Not Psycho. The Birds. You guys remember Alfred Hitchcock, The Birds, and the blonde that they were? Well, I owe you one. I thought he was great. I owe you one, Penny. She's the blonde that the Birds were getting after. Okay? Now she has an animal sanctuary up in toward Northern California with big cats. She even has Michael Jackson's 2 white tigers. And just an awesome, awesome spirit. And I went up and trained her and her board. So, and then Bootsy Collins. I like to highlight him. It was such an honor to work with him because I don't know about y'all, but I grew up watching Bootsy and with the cool jazz festival coming around. So when I'm sitting there with him, he and Patty are just 2 amazing people. But Bootsy, we developed the Bootsy Collins Foundation. Now, when we were first working together, he was going to call it the Bootsy Collins Music Foundation. I said, Bootsy, don't put music in the name because that'll pigeonhole you. You're already your brand. We already know that it's music. I said, you're already doing so much more. He now has, through his foundation, he has Funk University, where he teaches bass guitar virtually. Okay? But he also says this. Not gonna play? Oh, not gonna play. Oh, he did a great video, but anyway. So, for those that are on the line, I know that we're getting ready to be off camera. I want to thank all of you for being on, and like everyone, when you change the way you look at things, the things you look at change. And that's said by, is it Tolley? But I have it on my screensaver. When you change the way you look at things, the things you look at change. So for those of you that want to receive free grant information and additional information from me ongoing, go to my website at philanthropyalliance.org. That's philanthropyalliance.org, and see the tab that says Sign Me Up. And we send out free grant information on a regular basis. I send out different tips like I'm talking about today to help you reach more individuals. So I want to thank you guys for being on there on the camera. And I hope that you learned something today. I hope that I didn't go too fast, but that just means that you got to get with me in the classroom. Again, Sharita Herring. So is there anything else that I need to do for us to sign up? You're good? Thank you, sir. You're amazing. You know there's a grant for you, right?